As the global tariff war intensifies and world leaders warn that things will never be the same again,
the era of rules-based globalization and free trade is over.
India has a couple of big plans in place to try and buy some time. India is preparing to increase both official and back-channel talks with Washington to protect its export interests. As per two people familiar with the development who have spoken with Mint, the government is now exploring a plan to negotiate the suspension of the 26% tariffs imposed by the US until a bilateral trade agreement is finalized. This is expected to happen by fall 2025. The sources say that we are exploring all possible avenues to mitigate the potential losses our exports may face if the reciprocal tariff measures announced by the US remain in place. India does have an added advantage because it's the only country that has been offered the opportunity to pursue a bilateral trade agreement with the United States. As per this plan, India will either push for a suspension on the tariffs on all products until the trade pact is concluded, or at least negotiate temporary relief for some key export categories like textiles and electronics. It's not just India that's trying to get some relief. 50 countries have reached out to the White House for negotiations. In fact, trading partners have attempted similar negotiations in the past. For instance, in 2020, the US suspended planned tariffs on Chinese goods during negotiations that led to the Phase 1 trade deal. In 2021, the US and EU agreed to suspend retaliatory tariffs for 5 years in the long-standing Airbus-Boeing subsidy dispute, this to create space for a negotiated settlement. Closer home in FY19, India delayed the imposition of retaliatory tariffs on 29 US products including almonds and apples, while trade talks with Washington were underway. India's position has been clear from the start, since when Trump announced the tariffs, that there will be no tit-for-tat measures like how China has slapped tariffs back on the US. Instead, the aim is to conclude the trade talks quickly before too much damage is done. India's merchandise exports to the US have been on an upward trajectory over recent years. In FY22, India's merchandise exports were valued at $75.6 billion, and this increased to $78.3 billion in FY2023, demonstrating a strengthening trade relationship. Although FY24 saw a slight dip to $77.5 billion, that was mainly due to supply chain disruptions, and the long-term trend remains positive. The US has a trade deficit with India which was $35.32 billion in FY24, and this has been a key bone of contention for Trump. So the clock is ticking and India is preparing to fight its case thoughtfully. Hope you found this video informative. For more such content, keep watching Mint.